My girlfriend brought her work husband to our Valentine's dinner and said, "He's lonely, don't feel bad." The whole evening, the two of them kept laughing together and ignored me like I wasn't even there. I quietly paid for my meal, walked out calmly, and drove away without looking back. I'm 29, been with Emma for 3 years, and I genuinely thought we were building something real. We met through mutual friends at a barbecue, hit it off immediately, and within 6 months we were basically inseparable. She was smart, funny, had this infectious laugh that could light up a room. We talked seriously about moving in together by summer, maybe getting engaged by the end of the year. My parents loved her. Her parents loved me. On paper, everything was perfect. I'm not the jealous type, never have been. I've always believed that trust is the foundation of any good relationship, and I trusted Emma completely. So when she started mentioning her coworker Derek about 4 months ago, I didn't think anything of it. She said he was funny, that he'd helped her navigate a particularly difficult project at work, and that they'd started grabbing lunch together sometimes. She worked in marketing at a tech startup, long hours, stressful environment. I figured it was good she had friends there. I encouraged it, even. "That's great, babe," I'd say when she'd come home talking about something hilarious Derek had said in a meeting. "Sounds like a good guy." She'd smile, kiss me on the cheek, and we'd move on with our evening. No red flags. Nothing that made me uncomfortable. Looking back now, I can see the signs I missed, but at the time, I was just happy she was happy. But Valentine's Day this year? That was something else entirely. I'd made reservations at Giuliana's, this upscale Italian place Emma had been dropping hints about for months. She'd seen it on Instagram, showed me pictures of their truffle pasta and candlelit ambience. I called 6 weeks in advance to get a table, confirmed it twice, even bought her flowers the day before, white roses, her favorite. I was genuinely excited. This was supposed to be our night, a celebration of us. Then, the afternoon of February 14th, while I was wrapping up work, my phone buzzed. Text from Emma. "Hey babe, so Derek's going through a really rough breakup. Like, really bad. He's been super down at work, and I mentioned we had plans tonight. He made a joke about being alone on Valentine's, and I felt terrible. I told him he could join us, so he's not sitting at home depressed. You don't mind, right? You're so understanding about this stuff." I stared at that text for what felt like an hour, but was probably just a minute. Mind. Of course I minded. It was Valentine's Day. Our night. Our anniversary of our first date was in 3 days. This was supposed to be romantic, intimate, special. But I also didn't want to be that guy, the insecure, controlling boyfriend who couldn't handle his girlfriend having male friends. I'd always prided myself on being secure, mature, evolved. So I typed back, "Sure, if it helps him out. See you at 7. Big mistake. Huge. I got to Giuliana's at 6:55, wanting to be there first, maybe order a bottle of wine, set the mood. The hostess led me to our table, a corner booth, exactly what I'd requested. I sat down, straightened my tie, checked my phone. 7:02, 7:08, 7:15. At 7:17, I saw Emma walk through the entrance, and Derek was right beside her. Not behind her, not following at a respectful distance. Right beside her, his hand hovering near the small of her back as they navigated through the restaurant. He was tall, probably 6'2", better dressed than me in a charcoal suit that looked tailored. He had that easy, confident smile that some guys just naturally have, the kind that makes everyone around them feel less important. They were already laughing about something before they even reached the table. Emma's eyes were bright, animated, locked on him. "Ryan," she said when she finally looked at me, like she'd just remembered I existed. "This is Derek. Derek, this is Ryan." "Hey man," Derek said, extending his hand across the table. His grip was firm. Too firm. The kind of handshake that's trying to establish dominance. "Thanks for letting me crash your evening. Emma said you were cool with it." "No problem," I said, the lie tasting bitter in my mouth. They sat down, Emma sliding into the booth next to me, but angling her body toward Derek, who sat across from us. The waiter came by almost immediately, sensing the tension or maybe just doing his job. "Can I start you folks off with something to drink?" he asked. Emma didn't even glance at me. "Oh my God, Derek, they have that wine you were telling me about. The Barolo? Should we get a bottle?" "Absolutely," Derek said, grinning. "You're going to love it." The waiter looked at me. I just nodded. "That's fine. And a water." For the next 20 minutes, I sat there while Emma and Derek discussed the menu like they were the only two people at the table. They debated between the truffle pasta and the seafood risotto, asked each other questions about preferences, shared opinions about restaurants they'd been to together. Together. When had they been to other restaurants together? Remember that Thai place near the office? Emma said, touching Derek's arm. When you ordered that insanely spicy curry and your face turned red? Derek laughed, a deep, confident sound. I was dying. You had to order me 3 glasses of milk. They both cracked up. I sat there, my jaw tight, pretending to study the menu I'd already memorized from looking at it online a dozen times. When the waiter returned, Emma ordered the risotto. Derek ordered the same thing. I ordered a ribeye steak, medium rare, and a side salad. No one asked me what I thought about anything else. The food came. The conversation continued. And I became invisible. Every story Emma told was directed at Derek. Every inside joke, every reference to work drama I knew nothing about. She'd lean in when he talked, her eyes fixed on his face like he was the most fascinating person she'd ever met. At one point, she laughed so hard at something he said that she snorted. This adorable thing she only did when she found something genuinely hilarious, and she covered her mouth, embarrassed, but looking at him, not me. Oh my God, Derek, remember that meeting with Olivia last week? When you did that impression of the client who kept saying synergy? I almost lost it right there in the conference room. Derek's eyes lit up. That guy was ridiculous. We need more synergy between the synergistic elements of our brand synergy. He did a pompous voice, and Emma dissolved into giggles. I tried to join in. What client was that? Emma waved her hand dismissively without looking at me. Oh, you wouldn't get it. It's a work thing. You had to be there. That stung. She'd never dismissed me like that before. I took a bite of my steak. It was perfectly cooked, but it tasted like cardboard. Derek launched into another story about their office, and Emma was completely absorbed, asking follow-up questions, adding her own commentary. I might as well have been a piece of furniture. The waiter cleared our plates. Can I interest anyone in dessert? Oh, we have to get the tiramisu, Emma said, looking at Derek. We've been talking about trying it. Let's split it, Derek said. The waiter looked at me. And for you, sir? I'm good, I said quietly. They didn't notice. The tiramisu arrived. 1 plate, 2 forks. They dug in, and Emma made this little satisfied sound she usually reserved for, well, private moments. She offered Derek the first bite with her fork. He took it, maintaining eye contact with her, and said, "That's incredible." Something inside me broke. I caught the waiter's eye as he passed by and gestured for him. When he came over, I said quietly, "Can I get the check? Just for my meal." He looked confused for a second, then nodded. "Of course, sir." A few minutes later, he returned with a small leather folder. I could see Emma's peripheral vision register what was happening. I opened it, pulled out my credit card, and placed it inside without looking at the total. When the waiter took it away, Emma finally turned to me. "Wait, what are you doing?" "Paying for my food," I said calmly. My voice was steady, emotionless. I'd gone past anger into something colder. "Just yours." Her eyes widened slightly. "Yep." The waiter returned with my card and receipt. I signed it, added a generous tip because none of this was his fault, and stood up. I grabbed my coat from the hook beside the booth and put it on slowly, deliberately. "Ryan, seriously?" Emma's voice had that edge to it now, the tone she used when she thought someone was being unreasonable. "What are you doing?" I looked at her for a long moment. Then at Derek, who had the decency to look uncomfortable for the first time all evening. Then back at her. "You two have a great night," I said. "Happy Valentine's Day." "Ryan." I walked away. Through the restaurant, past the hostess stand, out into the cold February air. My hands were shaking, but not from the temperature. I got in my car, sat in the driver's seat, and just breathed for a minute. My phone started buzzing before I even started the engine. Text from Emma. "Are you kidding me right now?" Another. "You're being so immature." Another. "I was just trying to help a friend." "You're being ridiculous." Another. "Derek thinks you're a psycho now." Thanks for that. I turned my phone off. I drove home in complete silence, not even turning on the radio. When I got to my apartment, I poured myself 2 fingers of whiskey, sat on my couch in the dark, and tried to process what had just happened. Update 1. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 32 text messages from Emma. I didn't read most of them. The ones I did read ranged from angry to defensive to apologetic and back to angry again. There was nothing from Derek, which was probably smart on his part. Around noon, There was a knock on my apartment door. Persistent. Loud. Ryan, I know you're in there. Your car's in the parking lot. We need to talk. I walked to the door, but didn't open it. I don't think we do. Don't be like this, Emma said through the door. You completely embarrassed me last night. Derek thinks you're insane. I had to pay for the entire meal and explain your little tantrum. My tantrum? I almost laughed. Emma, you invited another man to our Valentine's dinner and spent 2 hours acting like I didn't exist. That's not fair. It's completely fair, I interrupted. You touched his arm 6 times. I counted. You laughed at everything he said. You shared dessert with him using your fork. You know what you didn't do? Look at me. Talk to me. Acknowledge me in any meaningful way. There was silence on the other side of the door. I was just being friendly, she finally said, but her voice was quieter now. No, I said. You were being more than friendly. And whatever that was, it wasn't fair to me, and it wasn't respectful to our relationship. It's not like that with Derek, she insisted. You're being paranoid. Emma, answer me honestly. If the situation were reversed, if I brought a female coworker to our Valentine's dinner, ignored you all night, shared food with her, laughed at all her jokes, touched her arm, how would you feel? Another long silence. That's different, she said weakly. It's not. And you know it's not. Fine, she snapped, her voice hardening again. Fine. If you're going to be like this, then maybe we need space. Maybe we need to take a break. Agreed, I said through the door. I heard her sharp intake of breath. She'd expected me to fight, to beg her to reconsider. When I didn't say anything else, I heard her footsteps retreat down the hallway. That was the last time I heard from her for exactly 2 weeks. During those 14 days, I threw myself into work. I hit the gym every morning, sometimes twice a day. I hung out with friends I'd been neglecting. I reorganized my entire apartment. I started sleeping better, eating better, feeling better. My buddy Marcus said I seemed lighter, like a weight had been lifted. I was starting to believe maybe I'd dodged a bullet. Then, on a Saturday afternoon 2 weeks later, there was a knock on my door. Softer this time, almost hesitant. I opened it without checking the peephole, and there was Emma. She looked different, tired, with dark circles under her eyes, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail instead of the careful styling she usually preferred. She was wearing jeans and an old hoodie, no makeup. In her right hand, she clutched a white envelope. Can I come in? She asked quietly, her voice almost breaking. Every instinct told me to say no. But there was something in her expression, fear, maybe, or genuine distress, that made me step aside. She walked past me into my living room and sat on the edge of my couch, perched there like she might bolt at any second. She stared at the envelope in her hands for a long moment, turning it over and over. I need you to read this, she finally said, extending it toward me. I took it. The envelope was unsealed. Inside was a letter, handwritten on nice stationery, the kind you buy at an actual store, not printed home. It was addressed to Emma at the top. I glanced at her. She nodded, giving me permission, and I started reading. The letter was from Derek. It was long, probably 3 pages front and back, and it was a confession. He was in love with her. Had been for months, since they'd first started working together. He wrote about how he thought she felt the same way, how every lunch, every inside joke, every shared moment had convinced him they had something special. He wrote about how that Valentine's dinner had been magical, how watching her laugh and smile had confirmed she was the one, how he was ready to build a life together, if she'd just give him a chance. The words got more desperate toward the end. He wrote about how he'd broken up with his girlfriend specifically because of his feelings for Emma, how he couldn't stop thinking about her, how he knew she must feel the same way because of how she acted around him. I read the whole thing twice, feeling my stomach turn. When I looked up, Emma was crying silently, tears streaming down her face. Why are you showing me this? I asked. Because I didn't know, she said, her voice cracking. I swear to God, Ryan, I didn't know he felt that way. I thought we were just friends. Good friends. Yeah, but just friends. After you left that night, after I paid the bill, he walked me to my car, and he tried to kiss me. I felt my jaw clench. I pushed him away, she continued quickly. I stepped back and told him no, that I had a boyfriend, that I wasn't interested in him like that. And Ryan, he got angry. Really angry. He said I'd been leading him on for months, that I'd given him signals, that the way I acted with him meant something. Did it? I asked quietly. She looked down at her hands. I like the attention. I liked that someone at work thought I was funny and smart and interesting. I liked having someone to grab lunch with, someone who got my jokes, someone who made the workday less boring. But I never thought. She trailed off, wiping her eyes. I never thought it meant anything more than friendship. I never wanted anything to happen. But you had to have known how it looked, I said. Emma, you brought him to our Valentine's dinner. You ignored me for 2 hours straight. You shared food with him from your fork. I know, she whispered. I know. And I've been replaying that night over and over in my head for 2 weeks. You were right about everything. If you'd done that to me, I would have lost my mind. I would have walked out too. I was a terrible girlfriend that night, and I'm so sorry. What happened after he tried to kiss you? I asked. She took a shaky breath. He's been texting me nonstop, multiple times a day, saying I owe him a chance, that I led him on, and now I need to follow through, that you don't appreciate me the way he does, that you don't understand me like he does. I've been ignoring the texts, but then he started calling. Then he showed up at my apartment 3 days ago. I didn't let him in, but he stood outside my door for 20 minutes telling me we were meant to be together. Jesus Christ, Emma. I blocked his number yesterday, she continued. And this morning, he showed up again. I didn't answer. But when I left for the gym an hour later, this letter was slipped under my door. I read it, and I got scared. Really scared. And I realized I needed help. I needed you. Because even though I fucked everything up, you're the only person I trust right now. Update 2. I didn't take her back that day. I want to be clear about that. But I also couldn't ignore that she was clearly frightened and needed help. Whatever had happened between us, I wasn't going to leave her in a dangerous situation. You need to report this to HR, I told her. And depending on what they say, you might need a restraining order. I know, she said. I'm going to. I wanted to show you first because I needed you to know I was telling the truth. About not knowing how he felt. About not wanting any of this. Over the next few days, Emma filed a formal complaint with her company's HR department. They took it seriously. Apparently, once they started investigating, they found a trail of emails and Slack messages from Derek that were increasingly inappropriate. Things Emma had brushed off as jokes or friendly banter, but that, when compiled together, painted a clear picture of harassment and obsession. There were messages about how she looked in certain outfits, comments about how her boyfriend didn't deserve her, late-night texts asking if she was thinking about him. He'd even sent her a Spotify playlist titled Our Songs that she'd never acknowledged or listened to. The HR investigation took 5 days. On day 6, Derek was fired. Emma called me when it happened. They walked him out with security, she said. He tried to argue, said I'd encouraged everything, that I was lying. But they had the evidence. The emails, the messages, even testimonies from other coworkers who said he talked about me constantly. How are you feeling? I asked. Relieved. Scared. I don't know. He looked at me when security was escorting him out, and Ryan, the look on his face, it was pure hatred. Did you file for a restraining order? My lawyer's working on it. Should have it by the end of the week. But the fallout didn't end there. Derek's ex-girlfriend, the one he'd supposedly broken up with, somehow found out what happened. Maybe he told her, maybe she heard through mutual friends, I don't know. But she created this long Facebook post exposing everything. She included screenshots of Derek's texts to her about Emma, messages where he said he was going to win Emma over, and that she was the real deal. She tagged Emma in it. It went semi-viral in their social circle. People from Emma's office saw it. Derek's friends saw it. His family saw it. Within days, his reputation was completely destroyed. Emma kept reaching out to me during all this, apologizing, explaining, processing. She sent long texts about how she'd taken me for granted, how she didn't realize what she had until it was gone, how she'd been chasing validation from someone new instead of appreciating the person who'd been there all along. Part of me wanted to forgive her. 3 years is a long time. We'd built a life together, made plans, talked about forever. But every time I thought about sitting in that restaurant, watching her laugh with another man while I might as well have been invisible, I couldn't get past it. Every time I thought about her touching his arm, sharing dessert with him, defending him when I expressed discomfort, I couldn't do it. Final update. It's been 2 months since that Valentine's dinner. Emma and I aren't together. We had one final conversation about 3 weeks ago, met for coffee at a neutral location. I miss you, she said. I miss us. I know, I replied. I miss parts of it too. Can we try again? I've learned so much. I've been in therapy, working on understanding why I sought validation from someone else. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But doesn't 3 years mean something? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Then I said, it does mean something. It means we had 3 good years together. But Emma, I can't trust you the way I did before. Every time you'd be at work, every time you'd mention a male coworker, every time you'd come home late, I'd wonder. I'd question. And that's not fair to either of us. That's not a relationship. That's surveillance. She cried. I didn't. I'm sorry, I said. I really am. I hope you figure things out. I hope therapy helps. But I can't be your partner anymore. She nodded, wiping her eyes, and we parted ways. From what I've heard through mutual friends, Emma requested a transfer to a different department at her company to escape the drama and gossip. She's apparently doing okay, keeping her head down, focusing on work. Derek moved to another city entirely, Portland, I think someone said. His reputation in our area was so damaged that starting fresh somewhere else was his only option. I heard he deleted all his social media accounts. As for me, I'm doing better than I expected. I started seeing someone new about 3 weeks ago. Her name is Maya. She's a teacher, and when I talk, she actually listens. She asks questions. She makes eye contact. She doesn't pull out her phone during dinner or constantly talk about other guys. It's refreshing. It's what I should have demanded all along. I don't hate Emma. I genuinely don't. I think she made mistakes, got caught up in attention and validation, and didn't realize the consequences until it was too late. I think Derek was a manipulative creep who took advantage of her naivete and need for affirmation. I think the whole situation was a mess that could have been avoided if she just had better boundaries. But I also realize now that I was settling for someone who didn't see me the way I saw her. I was giving 100% to someone who was giving maybe 70% and using the other 30% to feel special in front of someone new. And that's not love. That's not partnership. That's just convenient companionship until something shinier comes along. I deserve better than that. Everyone does. Edit 1. A few people in the DMs asked if Derek ever apologized to me directly. No. And honestly, I don't need him to. His life imploded on its own. Sometimes karma doesn't need your help. Edit 2. For those saying I should have fought for her or given her another chance. Nah. If someone needs you to fight for basic respect and consideration, they're not worth keeping. A relationship where you have to beg to be treated like you matter isn't a relationship. It's a hostage situation. Edit 3. Someone asked if Emma and I are still in contact. We're not. We have each other's numbers blocked, not out of hatred, but because clean breaks heal faster. I wish her well. I just wish her well from a distance.